we have two citizens that have been on our show before. Tyrin, last time he came by, it was a while ago, but I think I probably asked him 80 questions about Menace to Society when we had him on the show. But I mean, the movie is a classic, so I couldn't help myself. It's just one of those films that resonated with a lot of people for many different reasons, and it's still a classic to this day. And he's going to be working with Deon right after this film. We might get into that a little bit later, but we also have Michael Ealy, who was on the show, I think it was last year, maybe around April, and he was promoting the last film that he did with Deon, which was Intruder. And I mean, he's been a part of so many great films. One of my favorites has to be 7 Pounds, and I was just watching him in Too Fast, Too Furious the other night when he was racing against Paul Walker. And then we also have the director and the producer of this film that we're about to talk about, Deon Taylor. We're talking about the film Fatale, and it's great to have all you guys here. And Tracy, I love you. I see you too, so I don't want to leave you out.
I was kind of in the movie, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, man, it's great to have you guys on the show. Tyrin is like family to me, Deon. So is Mike. You know, I used to always tip Mike well when he worked at the grills, and look at him now.
Mike, you gonna let us start off like that?
I appreciate it, man. Those were some tough times, man. The support was always well appreciated, man. Always.
No, absolutely. And Deon, congratulations on all your success. I'm curious too, just listening to DB talk about Michael and you working together on Intruder. Coming into this movie, how did you work differently to make sure y'all didn't go through the same motions that you went through in Intruder?
Well, you know, one of the things that I really pride myself on is jumping genres. I'm one of the only probably Black filmmakers that jumps to different genres as I do film. So I've custom to horror, thrillers, you know, comedy. I really love the mindset, whatever I wake up and I want to do, I can do. So putting away The Intruder and going to Fatale was very easy because they're completely different movies. You know what I mean? The Intruder was more of what I like to call, you know, a jump thriller, you know, where it's, you know, more for the audience to jump and scream and yell and, you know, have a good time at the box office. And Fatale to me is more of a, you know, a noir thriller, which is more rooted in performance-based, you know, performances. It's more surreal. It's very authentic. It's very real. It deals with real people, you know, flawed characters. So, you know, this would be more of my awards push for, you know, Ealy and Hilary Swank and Tyrin, and, you know, for you to actually see something that is visceral when you watch it. And so completely different movie. So when I grabbed Ealy for Fatale, it was a very simple call for me, man. I knew there were some moments in The Intruder where I was like, damn, and I wish I could explore that more. You know what I mean? So we got to do Fatale. I was like, I know exactly who to call for this, and I know exactly who to take off the leash to let be that character we need him to be.
Wow, you really, I think people are gonna really, especially during these times, you know, we all been in quarantine, so we just looking for stuff to watch. You know, we just want a different twist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this movie and I'm like noticing everything about this movie, right? I'm looking at the symmetry, the angles that you're shooting at. I'm looking at the color schemes. I'm looking at the opulence, and I'm looking at that whole continuity throughout it all. And even Mike, with your character, everything about this guy, you know, from the car he drives, you know, from the house he lives in, his office furniture, the clothes he wears, even when they party and celebrate, they're doing it like ballers, you know. How much of your character that you played is in you? That don't seem like the type of lifestyle you would even gravitate towards.
Not at all. Not at all. And, you know, I remember, I mean, Deon and I made a lot of decisions about that car.
I remember that.
You know what I mean? We were torn, I think, between like an Aston Martin, which is what I wanted. And then D was like, no, I'm telling you about this Lambo. I'm telling you about this Lambo. And I was like, I don't know. And then I saw the house and I was like, yeah, all right. You know, I was like, yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. And so, but no, this guy, Derek, you know, what we have in common is our love of family, our love of protecting our family and stuff. But he's on a different level. Like he's on like a mogul level. Like he thinks in ways that I don't know. I dream about thinking in a lot of ways. But no, he's different. He lives at a different level, but he's, you know, still very conscientious of where he came from and who got him there. And that's why I think the relationship between, you know, me and Tyrin in the movie is like, you know, as some of my favorite scenes was just, you know, like the family scenes between me and my cousin. So that kind of loyalty, you know, oftentimes when somebody, you know, somebody elevates, they tend to forget who got them there.
Yeah.
And that I thought Deon got that part right in terms of, you know, staying true to your family and staying true to, you know, those folks that got you there. That was key.
Has that ever been a challenge? And I'll address this to Michael and Tyrin, because Menace to Society catapulted your brand to whole new heights, man. You were a cult legend. Right. You are urban myth living.
Man.
We'll get to that though. And so Mike, and we just talked about, you know, when we first met, you were, you know, in the service industry.
Yeah.
We all been on camera. We've all had levels of success. For me, it is kind of challenging staying grounded if you're not surrounded by the right people. Mike, have you ever fall off the horse of being grounded in your success?
No.
Wow.
Okay.
That actually sounds honest.
I've honestly always had people that, you know, that kind of, like sometimes like when I'm deciding on taking a job, you know what I mean? Like one of my boys will be like, hey man, listen, let me ask you this personally. Who do you think you are? And you'll be like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you can think what you want, but it comes down to, you know, you have to kind of maintain some sort of humility because as you can see with certain people in this business, it's like, woo, and then it's like, so, you know, I try to maintain a certain level of consistency. And I feel like by being human and staying grounded, it helps me kind of push through those kind of volatile moments in my career.
Mm-hmm. Tyrin was walking around Cali at the Menace to Society like he was still in character. I used to see him in LA.
Hey, Kane.
He was paying, baby. but how was that for you, Tyrin? You know what I mean? Like you got really famous really fast.
For me, it was just weird because I grew up on 51st Street in Hoover, so it was just weird. I'm used to just going to the store, getting me some liquids, just doing regular basic stuff. Like when Menace hit, it was just like it was just a surreal moment. It was like, damn, you can't, like, it's really real. I remember going to a basketball game and Wesley Snipes and Alan Payne. I walked in the basketball court, man, the whole gym tried to come get me. I said, wait, who am I? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
But it was a great moment. You know, man, my grandmom and everybody got a chance to see that I was doing something positive and productive, and it was just they just felt like I would be okay, regardless of what he's gonna be okay. He figures it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad we stayed friends, man. I didn't want to get on your bad side. I know what you.
No.
Tracy, this guy, you know, he's a good guy, Tracy. Don't get scared.
I believe it. Y'all, let me tell you something. Twitter is going to have fun with this movie. All of the layers within it, it's like the greatest talking points, like sex being used as escapism, sex being used as manipulation. There's melee, there's race. I want to bring up brotherhood, which was subtle, but also very loud to me, you know, especially when Hillary had that moment where the way that she said projects. And there's often a duality within our community, and especially as Black men, where it's only a certain kind can make it so far. or just in general, someone has to sacrifice themselves to let the person who looks closer to the opportunity get it because the door is not wide enough. And Ty, that's what your character did for Michael's character. And so I'm curious, did y'all have someone in your lives to get to where you are right now in Hollywood? Someone who put you in position and somewhat sacrificed a bit of themselves in the process?
Well, for me, I didn't have nobody really in the business. I had an uncle that played sports that never drank and never smoked. And that's where I got that aspect from, just being disciplined. And as far as the industry, I was just a class clown and, had a couple of mishaps as a kid, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with 5 people in one bed. So everything was just funny to me and everything was just real. So I just took the aspect of just growing up like that and just said, hey, whatever I get out of this, I'm good. And, just if I had to go back to that, it wouldn't hurt my feelings, but I just know what it is. Like everything that I received, it was just a plus for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I felt like I could never just think I'm somebody special or whatever. It wasn't like that. We got people in my neighborhood, Schoolboy Q, which is like my cousin through a marriage. And we got Garrett Anderson who played baseball for the Angels. So we were just everybody over there was just kind of like, we knew what we wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I didn't really have anybody, like, again, in the business. None of my friends were like really trying to go into business. And so there was no like kind of example of how to make this happen, how to do it. I think for a lot of us, and Deon would be the first one to tell you, like, some stuff you just got to figure out on your own. You know what I mean? Some stuff you just got to kind of learn, as you go. And I feel like for me, I just kind of put myself in the right place. I moved from Maryland to New York and did what I thought actors do, which was wait tables and then like take classes and go on auditions during the day. Like I just kind of took that blueprint and ran with it. There was I wish I could say in hindsight that there was some sort of scientific plan that I had that was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make this move. Nah, it was like, I was just fresh out of college and I was like, I'm just gonna go pursue this dream with all I got. And if it doesn't work, I'm gonna give myself 7 years. And if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna come back and get a master's and a PhD and do something else.
Wow.
Did you want to ask that, D?
Well,
Yeah, I would just
can't hear you.
Do you
Sway
hear me?
muted? I ain't hear him. What do you say?
I was just impressed that you could just come back and just go get a master's and a PhD at the drop of a dime. I was like, wow.
Right.
That was incredible.
That
was plan B.
Wow, what a hell of a plan.
Yeah, that's a great plan. Yeah, I think, my upbringing was completely different, a lot more so probably like Tyrin. I'm from Gary, Indiana. So, I was raised where a lot of gang violence, a lot of, gun violence, just seeing turmoil. Also, like Tyrin, I was raised in the projects. So a lot of what I put in this film is a lot of what I've been through. But I think it's interesting, man. I don't think that we're all first generation business people. Everybody on this Zoom right now, like
Right.
we had to all kind of go through this thing on our own and figure it out. And I think that the sacrifices that you're asking about, Tracy, for me came from people that I didn't even know. Just seeing guys get shot up, seeing guys go to prison. You know what I mean? I was fortunate enough to play basketball. I'm like, damn, I don't want to do that. So that was like, all right, I ain't going down that road. So you kind of figure out, like almost like a fish going upstream. You like, damn, don't go that way. Damn, they just got took that. And you begin to learn on your own how to kind of get out of these environments. Now what happens is when you've already kind of ran your race only to get to the race, if that makes sense. So a lot of times we get to Hollywood. I know I did. And I'm going, and they're like, all right, you at the starting blocks now. And I'm like, damn, I just ran to get here. So a lot of that energy that we have to put out there is a lot about unlearning what we've learned. You know what I mean? Trying to see examples of what people did, how they escaped and got to the next level. And ultimately, man, we kind of climb up And like Mike said, I think what's great about Tyrin, and we would have probably answered that question the same way about, have you ever fell off your high horse? The reality is when you really come from the bottom in the mud, you won't never fall off the horse because you know ain't none of this real. You know what I mean? You kind of, you're
Right.
always, I know for me, 10 movies in, I'm still waiting for the other foot to drop. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly like, damn, all right, well, I got that one off, but damn, what's going to happen? And you kind of have that mentality, which is not always a good mentality, but it keeps you grounded. I've seen a lot of people that don't come from the mud find success, and those are usually the people that fall very hard because they're kind of in this world where it's like, yeah, it's me, and I'm a great star, and I'm a great actor, and then bam, that girl says something, or bam, that studio says something, right? Or the headline said, and they don't know how to react to that. The reality is we know what it is to eat top ramen and hot dogs, and you know what I mean? So the flip side is you can never pull that out of us. So anyways, that's how I would answer that.
And how do I get back to the thing?
So this question is, I guess, primarily for Deon, but Michael and Tyrin, you can jump in as well, because David Loughery wrote this film, but there's a scene, like Tyrin was saying, the two of them, Michael and Tyrin, play cousins. They're family members. There's a scene where they're talking to their mother, and she says something that for some reason just kind of stuck out to me. And she tells you, Michael, a man's name is precious. And there was a lot of emphasis behind that. And it seemed like it was more than just something to say to kind of carry the scene along. So Deon, I mean, I think everybody here in this interview can identify with how important it is, how important your name is. So was there more meaning behind that one line in regards to the characters and just in general in life?
Yeah, that scene was everything. Although David Loughery wrote the screenplay, you know, he gives me the draft and then I do what I do. That's just kind of how it is. So a lot of these moments and these scenes that are in the film are actually me on set rewriting because it's about us. And the mother scene was the most powerful scene of the film for me because, like so many of us, you know, I was raised by a single mom who worked multiple jobs and collected food stamps and took care of me and my family. So at the end of the day, Black men need that foundation in our moms, and we see that everywhere we go. My mom has still been rooting me on, you know what I mean? Like through it all, that's who you go to. So we had a moment to create the mother scene. That was for us. You know, that scene was placed in there because here's a guy who's lost it all, who the whole world is turning back on. Family is there with Tyrin, but the mom is the foundation for all things, man. You know what I mean? Like she gonna be there on the murder trial with you. And I knew that this character needed to have his mom say, put your shoulders back and hold your head up and go figure this shit out, period. And it was one of the most impactful scenes of the film for me and Ealy. I remember that scene, like me and him both, you know, teared up a lot, man. Mike had lost his mom a few years ago. And for me, my mom has been extremely sick with dementia for a while. And it was just one of the moments where you like, damn, man, you can't write that. And David Loughery definitely couldn't write that. So that was one of the moments where you put that in there. And it's interesting, Tracy, because you talked about Hillary saying the projects. That's again me with the pen, penning that. So it speaks to the culture, you know what I mean? And make sure that we're in the DNA of that film. But yeah, that was a powerful scene, man. And yeah, shout out to Michael for I mean, that was just, to me, that turned the page on the whole film.
Yeah, as Deon said, it's funny you say that, DB, because I remember like when I read the script, the scene didn't stand out to me as significant, right? A moment that resonated with me having just lost my mom and now having this woman playing my mom, telling me, to fight, hold your head up, hold your shoulders back. All of that just resonated so powerfully for me that, yeah, that scene was, I mean, in a lot of ways, that was Michael up there, you know what I mean? And it was like Deon said, one of my favorite scenes because it just resonated so deeply within me. And I think, obviously as Black men, we have to take care of Black women, first being your mama, you know what I mean? Like first being your mama, second being your sister if you got one, and then if you got a wife or whatever, then you got to do that too. But like, for Derek, his mom meant so much, and I like the way that she's not in the movie much, but it's quality over quantity, right?
Right.
So that scene is so impactful, and then obviously Tyrin and I are talking about her and how we got to take care, we got to look out for her and everything, because she did so much for us, and we grew up thinking we all we got, right. And so in a lot of ways that scene is extremely powerful. And when I saw it the other night on the big screen, it resonated. It jacked me up again. It jacked me up again because every time I see that scene, I think my mom would have said the exact same words. Mm-hmm. Exact same words.
Which was an idea was, what happens if you go to Vegas and Vegas comes home with you? See, that's what no one wants to talk about, right? Because Vegas has really become that place like, oh, we wild out. And look, here's the thing. It might not just be sex. It might be drinking. It might be hanging out. It might be dope. It might, whatever the hell it is you doing, you try to leave that on that side. But what happens if it follows you home? And that's when I was like, oh, this is a hell of a movie here, man. Because here's a guy who kind of went to just, get his mind free. And then he comes home only for that whole baggage to get on the plane right with him, right, and follow him to his front room. I said, oh, this is crazy.
Right. So
crazy.
So the movie has the that fatal attraction effect to it, but it's not exactly that kind of thing that you think it is, because is she really fatal attracted or is she not fatal attracted? Because there's a lot of things on the reason why she acts the way she acts. So that's just the twist of it. It's not like, oh, you may think she's like crazy about him. We just don't, you know what I'm saying? That's what's so crazy about the film, because she may be, but you don't give that away, Her
character, Hillary, played the detective, and Hilary Swank, and I didn't know, I hated her, and then at the same time, I felt sorry for her, and people find out when they watch the movie, and then she showed sides of her as a thespian that I didn't even know she had deep down in her. Can you speak to that, Mike and Deon, about that?
I'll start and I'll say this. There were definitely times when I would go to Deon after the tape and say, I'm scared as shit right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to play cool, but she's really into it. So, I'm gonna go back in there, but I just want you to know if something happens to you, just know, you know what I mean? Like I'm telling you now, because she's on another level right now.
You stepped up though, Mike.
I had to do something.
And what's crazy is I watched you step up in there, and then you brought my game up. It just got weird. It was like, nigga, this ain't the best man. Excuse that, but nigga, this some other shit. So we just have to. And I remember Mike saying, we were sitting down and Mike was like, yeah, just keep that energy right there. See, the thing I liked about Mike, and I can appreciate this, is that it's like playing basketball. It's like when LeBron James was having a bad game, D-Wade still went to him and said, hey man, nigga, you better than this, man. Come on, man, step up. And that's what I liked about this, because, there's some times where you need nobody's hating, but it's a time when you need your partner to be like, hey man, like, come on to you got this. Mike did that to me a couple of times. I'm being honest with you. Mike said, come on, man, give me that other, yeah, just like that. That's what I like. If you can keep that energy to you got it. I'm like, cool. So it's like that. Sometimes you need somebody to say, hey man, you got to get there. And Hillary just, she raised the bar, but I will say this, is that as Black actors, all we were missing was a lot of repetition. You know what I mean? Because repetition makes you, it just comes now. You just get it. So the more repetition it gets you, the more you become your thespian comes out of you. You know what I mean? So it was great that we had Hillary, because she brought the best out of everybody, and you can see it.
Michael, was you in the prop department checking all the guns to make sure they went with blanks?
I would add to Hillary that for everybody out there that's into film and acting, and this is like from a very real place. It is no mistake when someone has 2 Oscars.
Yeah.
So it's no mistake when someone has 3 championship rings, right? If that makes sense. This is real work. And it don't matter what color you are, it don't matter where you come from. This is like, I say, you know, Fatale was like a lot like a professional basketball game. And Hillary showed up and she's LeBron James. And me and Mike talked about it before, like, yo, man, she gonna do this, she gonna do that. But when I said action, you understood. It don't matter how many box office hit movies she got. It don't matter how many people know her name. She the real deal. And you're gonna see that on that court. And you're gonna see it on that. And Mike, it was so great, man, because acting is a lot like sparring. It's someone's giving you something and you got to give it back. And for us as Black filmmakers and Black actors and Black entertainers, because we naturally have it, sometimes we don't have to work for it because we just can show up and be like, oh yeah, I know so many actors that come to set that don't even know the script because they're good enough to be like, oh, what is it? Okay, let me just do this. But here's what happens. When you get into that ring with someone like Hillary, when you get into that ring with someone like Mahershala Ali, when you get in that ring, right, with these types of people, guess what? They waiting for their line to come back. They not playing no game. They've studied all night what you're gonna say so they can react the correct way. And if you see Fatale, Hillary, there's a scene in the beach house where she quotes something about Shaq, right? Like you can be in jail for
hilarious,
right? And if you watch that monologue again, she worked on that for 2. I moved that scene 3 times in the film because she was like, I don't have it yet. I don't want to do it tomorrow. I don't want to do it next week. She moved it because as an actor, she kept being like, I can't do it yet. I don't have it yet. And then I remember the day she came to me and was like, I got it. When can we do it tomorrow? And I'm like, well, I gotta, and I moved the schedule around for her to be able to do that because I know she's playing a different type of game and we need her to be explosive because we need Michael to be reactive. Do you know what I mean? So anyways, it's a fun film if you love acting because Mike, Tyrin, Mike Colter, even Damaris, you know what I mean? They're like, they're playing ball, man. And we don't get to see that often with us.
That's what's up. You know, there's a couple things I noticed too, but Tracy, did you want to jump back in?
Yeah, I would love to. Because of the stellar level of acting and also just the characters are acting, just like Sway was mentioning earlier, like everyone is concealing something, you know, and presenting themselves in a way that doesn't show the whole truth. And it got me like wondering, when you are an actor, and this is for Ty and Mike, can you take that skill set with you, like in all aspects of your life? Like if you need to tell a little white fib, can you just say, all right, I'm just gonna act through it right now so this person believes me?
100%.
What are some scenarios? Please share at least one.
I mean, you know, like kind of on a serious note, I've had certain people at like my son's school, you know, say things that were a little bit out of pocket. And, you know, because of the scenario and the environment, you know, you couldn't just throw hands back, you know what I mean? So you had to kind of take a second and then respond in a way in which it was, you know, you got to respond maybe not quite as yourself, but as somebody, you know, who's being a bit more diplomatic. And you know, until you can find a way to express yourself clearly, you know, you sometimes put on, you know, a different hat, and that's just one scenario. And, you know, I mean, look, I started out my relationship acting, and, you know, it was my wife who was like, "You're acting, stop." This ain't a scene, stop. And I was like, sure. You know what I mean? And you realize I wasn't acting well enough, But so I've gotten better over the years. I haven't stopped acting. I just got better over the years. She can't tell as well as much now. This is gonna mess me up actually, but yeah, I definitely, you know what I mean? I definitely still do it from time to time. And yeah, you take stuff with you all the time. And it's funny because one of the reasons why I wanted to play this guy was he spends so much time kind of reacting to this menacing character, right? And I had never played or never read even a character that has gone through this much. Like Derek, I've never seen a character go through this much in a story. And he goes through so much. And it was so much fun to play. And every day you come in and you're like, there were days you were just exhausted. And there were days when I was so thankful that this is not my real life, because, that's when cocaine becomes a problem. I was like, this too much. You know what I mean? It's too much. Like, I got to do something because I got to escape from this. You know what I mean? But, under because of the genre and because of the circumstances, you got to stay focused and fight. And Derek, my character goes through so much in this. And he has so much, to protect that it was a must play. It was a must role for me. I had to do this to challenge myself.
And you did it well.
Did it excellent. Tyrin, you want to respond to that, Tyrin?
I feel like as an actor, you take that, which I think it's a part of you. I think you're acting even when you don't know you're acting when you're in regular life. It's like, it's just a part of you, I would say. So, for me, a lot of my acting is a lot of me. I have some of that in me. So, mine is just different from everybody else's. I think, to get a girl, you're acting. You be like, I want to take you to. Do you really want to take her to the movies? Do we really want to do it? We know what we do. You know what I mean?
Do I look fat in this dress?
This dude is too real.
Not.
Yeah, you really don't want to do all that, but that's the acting side of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to go to dinner? You know what I mean? Like all this extra stuff. Like if they would just say, hey, you know what? I like you, you like me. Can we just figure this out right now? 100%, most guys would say, yep, skip the movie, skip the dinner.
Most guys, is that accurate?
Do a poll.
This is a majority male school.
Hey, Tracy, if life below zero is on, I'm home. I'm staying home.
Right.
Noted. Thank you, Ty.
Tyrin, looking at this movie, and I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
Okay. But I think a lot of your fans that you gained playing Kane in Menace to Society is a scene in this movie. I won't give up the scene. I don't want to tell it too much. That I feel like it was almost paying a homage to Menace to Society in some ways. Deon, if you know the scene I'm talking about, is when Tyrin went to meet up with his cousin before they went on a mission.
No, it's great. We can talk about it because it was done.
Talk about it. Mike got me on eggshells.
No, it's done for that reason. Please talk about it. That's why we did it.
Okay. There's a scene where Tyrin is sitting in a car and he's talking with his cousin, and I'm looking at this scene and I thought I was looking at Menace to Society almost. And
right.
Yeah, that's kind of cool,
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Deon, we talked about it and he was just like, you know what, man? I'm thinking about bringing that particular car. What you think? And we talked, he was like, I was like, yeah, that kind of would be cool, whatever. And we knew that the my homie that was in the car, who also was in the NWA Compton Menace, we just felt like that moment right there would give that value of just that that street moment, that street element to make the whole movie feel different from anything that anybody's ever saw. Like we've never seen, you know, you probably seen the obsessors and all that, but you ain't never you ain't never seen the homies come like, okay, this is what this is in this particular situation for that particular situation. So it was kind of homage.
It was?
Yeah, we had to do that, man. Obviously that movie, the Hughes brothers, meant so much, man, and what they've done for the culture to give us a film like that. I wanted to actually pay that homage back to those guys and do it in the right way. And we also added the Spice One right there. Like I just took it back to that era because I was like, damn, this is cool, man. We can wink at the Hughes brothers and be like, yo, we know what y'all did for us. And I just thought that's a really, really dope scene. As a matter of fact, somebody posted something about it and it took off last night. I was like, damn, this is crazy. But yeah, that's in honor of the Hughes brothers, man, just for being two of the dopest filmmakers we've had.
Mm-hmm. Are the Hughes brothers, who are some of those folks that inspired you, Deon, now that you bring up the Hughes brothers?
Oh, man. I mean, I think any filmmaker that's Black that's been able to make a film, I'm a fan of. Just because I've been doing it independently my whole career. So I know I know how much it takes to get a film made. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I'm a big giant fan of John Singleton. I have a lot of qualities of him in terms of like I love messaging in films, which I do a lot. Every movie I have it has a message in the middle of it. But I'm a giant Steven Spielberg fan, which is kind of why I jump genres a lot. I love the trajectory of him doing, you know, E.T. and The Color Purple and Jaws, right? Like who would ever, you know, those three posters next to shit, yeah, all those posters next to you, you're like, who's doing all this? And I want to, you know, I mimic, you know, my career. I want to go that way. I want to be what he did for us. You know what I mean? So ultimately get to, you know, sci-fi and get to much bigger horror films, much bigger thrillers, you know what I mean? And then also step into, you know, some things that actually deal with the culture. So I love those two the most.
Okay. Man, that's good to know. Hey, Mike, I don't know if D told you yet, but, you know, around Hollywood, they call me the cameo king. So the next...
Here he goes.
Next project, man. I hope it's us, man. I hope we can do it. You know what I mean?
I don't know why we haven't done one yet.
I know, right?
I'm like, T, come on, Tyrin. How long we known each other? Half your life.
Oh, man.
No, we got something for you, man. We're gonna be shooting at the top of the year, man. We got a film called Free Agents about NFL players that rob banks. And it's set up at Lionsgate. We're starting production. And I'm gonna come to you, Sway. I got you, man. But this ain't gonna be no cameo. I'm coming to get a real role from you, man.
Come on, man.
We can't be Sway in the movie, man. So we gotta give you a real character, man.
You're gonna finally give him a credit.
Like, that's Sway.
I've been swaying every movie, D.
You actually get a character name.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a real name on the call sheet, man.
Okay, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Hey, DB, I'm gonna let you close with the final question.
Oh man, you know, like we had mentioned before, the thing about this film is that I'll admit I'm a bit of a movie snob sometimes. If I watch something and I can figure out what's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen, you kind of lose my interest. So I'm watching this film and I'm like, okay, guy cheats on his wife, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, oh shit, there's way more than just what you think is going on. And then like we were talking about, it goes into all these different routes where one person is doing something that you necessarily might not look at as, okay, like it's messed up what's happening, but there's a reason that kind of makes it legitimate. You know what I mean? And I guess my question would be like, how do you film something in order to not make something so bad seem okay? You know what I mean? I know it's kind of hard to answer that without people knowing what's going on, but I think you understand what I'm saying in terms of revenge and getting back at somebody for something they did, but using like a really messed up way of going about it.
I'll answer this real quick, then I'll let Mike jump in on it. Look, 25 years ago, there was a film called Fatal Attraction. Michael Douglas played this character opposite Glenn Close. Every studio in Hollywood passed on the film because the opening 3 minutes of the movie, everyone said, what do you mean? The man cheats on his wife? He has a great family, right? But yet, Hollywood has continued to make movies where the devil is standing in your front room. That's cool, right? So I looked at that a lot, and that movie goes on. Fatal Attraction becomes ultimately the biggest thriller of all time, nominated for multiple Oscars, becomes a classic, right? And what I think is interesting about what you just asked, DB, is if you make projects that are authentic and true to life, then people understand real flaws. A real flaw is someone who has an affair. A real flaw is someone that cheats. A real flaw is relationships break at times and you don't know how to put them back together. So for me, when I put this film together, Ealy, in his character role, I was like, yeah, you're going to be mad at him at the beginning, but when you understand the backstory of what he's going through, right? When you dig deeper, and that's a lot about surface things that we go through in life right now. People go, oh man, why he do that? You know what I mean? And then you like, damn, I didn't know that was his life. You know what I mean? Why is that NFL player, getting caught with drugs and all the guys with guns? I didn't know he came from the projects and that's the only life he know. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, this movie basically turns the lens on a different way where you could see what he was going through. And then ultimately 45 minutes into the film, you're actually rooting for Mike. You're like, how does he get out of this? You know what I mean? Like, damn, this is crazy, And so I think that's the best way I could answer it, is that sometimes you got to see past the surface of what someone's going through instead of making a rash decision the first time you see what they're doing.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about what you're saying, DB, is this: there are definitely people who will see the trailer and think they know what's going to happen. And they think they know, they think they know exactly how the movie's going to go, how it's going to end. I don't know anybody that's been able to figure this out in the first 15, 20 minutes, maybe even the first hour. And I can tell you right now, when I read the script, when I got to that beach scene, and I was like, oh, that was my reaction. Like literally, I was like, oh, because instantly it just took whatever you thought was tropish or contrived, and it just said, nah, now what? Yeah. And then and then they weren't done. Like that was kind of the first turning point. And then it just went even further. And like you said, I think in 2020, it's safe to say that the safety net of storytelling is gone from 80s films and 90s films and things of that nature. And we're making things that are a bit more complex and a bit more tangible. And when you start off by seeing a couple like me and Damaris, you see us as a couple and we not right. We start off, I remember talking to Deon, I was like, do we need something like in the beginning where it's like you can kind of see a glimpse of what it was like, and he was like, nah, because we're gonna bring it in later. And it was like, and we got there, and you have a glimpse of how good it was at one point. But when you start off and you see that this couple is not right, it's just kind of, it's more indicative of what we're dealing with right now. This election cycle was not right. It wasn't idyllic. It has been a complete and utter catastrophe on many levels. And so I think people's eyes are now like, everybody used to say for so long, like, man, I can't believe he's doing, now it's like this. Yeah, he not conceding. Okay, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it all makes sense. And I think right now when you see a movie, we have to kind of raise the bar and make it as complex as possible, because right now in 2020, in the year of the pandemic, human relationships are as complex as possible. And even the American spirit is now more complex than it's ever been in the last, I'd say 20 years, because now everything's on the table. Ain't nobody hiding anymore.
All in the open now.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody hiding anymore. You know what I mean? It's out there now. So it's like, okay, well, you know, now what are we gonna do? And I feel like with this film, you know, there's definitely a menacing quality to this film. And like Deon said, you know, Intruder started on like an upbeat and then it kind of fell. This one is a noir thriller. So there's a tone to it that is dark and it's there from the jump. And I love that consistency. I salute you, Deon, for that, man. You nailed the tone of this piece, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you, man. I actually love the movie, so I appreciate you. Like, you know, sometimes you make these movies and you be like, damn, I should have. And the last couple, man, I believe like they're like my favorites. You know, Intruder was great because no one could guess this man was living under the house. You know what I mean? And I was challenging myself with that movie. Like, I wonder if they're gonna figure this out. They didn't. But then Black and Blue was a completely different journey in terms of what we were facing and what we were trying to do with Naomi Harris and Tyrese. And this one is hitting me the right way, man. Like I've screened it a few times and it's great, man. I mean, I just love that we haven't had one of these for us in a very long, not this level, in a very long time. Mm-hmm.
Yo, D, when people see the trailer and you know because I look at all the comments and all that kind of stuff, like how do we convey to them that it's not what you think? Because they all if you look at the comments, they're like, oh, we just this is another Obsessed, or this is another this, or this is another, like, it's nothing. It's hard to explain, but it's nothing what they think. You know what I mean? Do you think that the trailer kind of makes it feel like that's what we doing or something? Like,
no, I think we the only look. I love film. I watch film. We the only people that do that to each other.
Yeah,
right.
We the only people. So anything you see similar, you go, oh, that's just like. Now here's the thing. I love it because every time they go to the theater, they come out and have to write something different, right? But think about this. How many Spider-Man trailers have you seen?
Thank you.
And you go,
wow.
Oh, this is the same
Mike,
How many times do you see somebody fly or jump with a cape and you be like, damn, that's crazy, right? I bet he gonna do this and that with. It's just us. We do any movie you put out. When I put out Black and Blue, everybody's like, oh, that's Training Day. I know that's. And I'm like, man, leave the movie alone. Just go check it out. You know what I mean? But once you see it, man, that's what I think where good filmmakers come in. Once you see it, you change the narrative of these people, which is fantastic because they come out and they go, I didn't know he was going to be under the house. Exactly. You know what I mean? Or, damn, I didn't know Hillary was going to do that. And I think that's what makes it really, really great.
Yeah. I think you got to use it. You got to understand that the trailer is a marketing tool.
Right.
That's really what it is. It's a marketing tool. It's not the movie. And I think when you begin to make movies like this one and audiences take a chance and see it, and they see that it's much more complex than the trailer perpetuates, at that point, you can pretty much say, okay, well, the next movie has a better shot at a lot less negativity in what you and Deon are talking about in terms of that noise. You know what I mean? Where people, and you know, let's be honest, like DB said, a lot of people pride themselves on being smarter than the director, smarter than the actor, smarter than the director. So they want to come in and be like, yeah, nah, I know how this gonna go. Wait, what? Okay. And you know, and when they're wrong, that's when they've been thrilled. Right. But the problem is everybody thinks they can do it. Everybody thinks they can be a filmmaker. Everybody thinks they can be an actor. Everybody thinks they can do it because if you do your job, you make it look easy. Mm-hmm. So when everybody thinks they can do it, they start thinking they can outguess you. And it's only in formats like this where we start to discuss, and I'm glad all three of you were able to see the movie because we can actually have a real conversation about the complexities of the film. And not just sell it off of a trailer, but actually talk about how it went left when you thought it was going right and why. That's the most important question. Like, why did it go that way? And that's why I think this has been one of the best interviews because it's like, I agree. It's been like, we're actually like, one, you guys watch the movie. Two, it's like we can have a real conversation without, ruining it for everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, man, Michael Ealy, Tyrin Turner, Deon Taylor, bravo, and the rest of the cast, bravo.
Yes.
Fatale is a must-see. And listen, we didn't even talk about the music as a character.
Oh my God!
Hey, we didn't even talk about the score.
Yeah, me and Deon was just talking about that the other day. Me and Deon was just talking about that the other day, right? It was like that music, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the soundtrack is great, man, and it's a special film, man. I think it'll be around. First off, I'm so happy you guys had the opportunity to see it, but I think this movie has so many different elements that I think our audience is going to really appreciate the work that was put into it. From the score, Jeff Zanelli, who did Pirates of the Caribbean, all the way to the music, which is Lenny S. and Omar Joseph, who worked on that. It's a great piece of entertainment for us to have right now around Christmas time, and I'm happy. I'll ask you guys this before we get off. Sway, Tracy, DB, the very end of the film, without giving it away, did you think it was over? And you know what I'm talking about. Did you think it was over? I just want to ask that.
Not only was I sad that I thought it was over, I was sad. I was like, no. Right?
I was like, yo, these people are terrorists, bro.
No, man. I was like, yo, I felt screwed that night. Like, I mean, when I watched the movie, I was like, yo, that was a real mind fuck. The whole movie was just like,
yeah.
Good. That's good. Man, what thank you, Sway. And one more time, all of you, man, thank you so much. And thank you for being leaders, man, for us. And I'm saying that I told you that I started this off by telling you that all of you, Tracy, DB, Sway, DJ Wonder, I see a lot of these guys on here, man. Thank you guys for doing it. Everybody, thank you for doing it the right way, because you could be doing something completely different and making money and doing what you're doing. But I appreciate you guys being the foundation.
Way the truth.
For real, man. Thank you for being real. And that's very hard to find right now, man. We love y'all. Thank you.
Wow.
Love y'all too, man. This is great. Thank you for being on the show today. Congratulations.
Salute, y'all.